You've submitted your thesis. Congratulations! But the journey isn't over just yet. The Viva is the final hurdle and your opportunity to step confidently into your identity as a professional researcher. Today, I'll walk you through what actually happens in the Viva, what examiners are really looking for, and the essential preparation steps that will help transform your confidence. And if we haven't met before, I'm Claire, and I coach healthcare professionals to create careers that they actually love, careers that align with who they are and not just what they do. So this is about developing as a researcher. First up, what actually happens in the Viva? Well, one major source of anxiety is not knowing what to expect. And the truth is, there are no universal rules governing the Viva. The exact format is left to the professional discretion of your examiners. But there are common conventions. So most Vivas will last 2 to 4 hours, 4 generally being that really very upper limit. You may be asked to give a 10 to 15 minute presentation at the start of your Viva, or you may not. Examiners may divide responsibilities and focus on different aspects of your research, or not. Whatever approach they take, good practice is that they will explain the structure at the beginning so that you have a clear sense of where you are in the process. Next, let's think about what examiners want, so their aims and their thesis standards. A really helpful reference here is the book called How to Get a PhD by Phillips and Pugh, and I drew on this book heavily when I was preparing for my Viva, so please check it out, and I've added the reference in the description below. And examiners have 3 main aims. Really, is it original? So does the thesis make an original contribution to knowledge? 2, is it yours? Can you demonstrate the work is genuinely your own? And 3, are you a professional researcher? Can you show that you're capable of making a sensible, rigorous contribution to your field? Then there are also the general principles to consider for a PhD thesis. And so the 3 principles that underpin every examiner's expectations really is, first, and this links to that key question the examiner is looking for, which is the original contribution to knowledge. Your work must introduce something new to your field. So it could be an insight, a method, a model, a data set, or maybe an argument. Second, systematic study. Your thesis should demonstrate a sustained, systematic research and clear engagement with the wider literature. And third, it should be worthy of publication. Your thesis should be of a standard that is publishable, either in full or in an abridged form. Your goal in the Viva is not to defend your work defensively, but to show mastery, to demonstrate that you understand your thesis deeply, can explain it clearly, and can justify the decisions that you have made. Now let's move our attention to the 3 critical preparation steps. Now, not all doctoral programs teach you how to prepare for the Viva, but preparation matters more than you might think. So here are the 3 steps that, in my opinion, every candidate should take. Step 1, prepare answers to frequently asked questions. This was the first step I was taught to prepare for my Viva, and you must be ready to express those key ideas with clarity and precision, i.e. you need to give a succinct answer. And a succinct answer means probably 2-3 sentences at the absolute most. If you need more than that, it's a sign that your explanation is probably lacking focus. So according to Phillips and Pugh, the frequently asked questions you must master include these. What are the limitations of previous work on your topic? What is your thesis, i.e. your argument, your position? What is your original contribution? What are the limitations of your research? What would you do differently if you were starting again? And then also thinking about where should research on this topic go next? Short, clear, confident answers signal intellectual maturity. But please don't misunderstand me here. I am not saying memorize word perfect answers to these questions, because that will just throw you off track if they word or phrase a question slightly differently. The key here is to be able to articulate in some form an answer to the heart of those questions. My top tip for doing that is to create a mind map of each of the questions above and some key points you may want to make in answer to them. The process of creating the mind map will help you have clarity about the answer and a possible structure for them. Step 2. Prepare a systematic summary of your thesis. From my perspective, the purpose of this step is twofold. So Phillips and Pugh talk about how this systematic summary will help you locate any argument, reference or issue instantly during the Viva. Now, I found in reality in the Viva I had actually prepared so much that I didn't necessarily need to use that. But my second point was that it was the most helpful from my perspective in that it made me read my thesis again at a time when I absolutely hated it. I did not want to read it again at all, but this method helped me do it in quite a gentle way. So here is what Phillips and Pugh suggest. They talk about using 3 sheets of A4 paper or 3 pages in a Word document, and you want to divide each page into 2 columns, creating about 70 half lines, and write the main idea from each page of your thesis on the corresponding half line. But here's the honest truth. I found summarising a full thesis page in half a line way too difficult. So my alternative method was that I summarised 1 page of my thesis onto 1 full line of A4 paper. Or you could use a Word document. So it's still structured, it's still concise, but it was realistically more achievable for me. But this forced me to read my thesis again, as I said, at a time when I really didn't want to. And I didn't end up using this summary really much in the Viva, but it was a brilliant revision tool and it helped me rebuild my familiarity with the text. Step 3 is about undertaking mock Viva sessions. This step is absolutely essential and I cannot emphasize it enough. Many candidates think, oh, well, I'll just practice the questions in my head. That should be fine. No, it isn't. You must speak your answers out loud. A clear, elegant answer in your head often collapses the moment you try and say it. And speaking under pressure is a completely different skill from thinking the answer in your head. So here's what I recommend. You find a trusted friend, you give them a list of predictable Viva questions, and if you want, check out my other video on predictable Viva questions for those. And they don't need to know your research, they just need to read the questions so that you can practice speaking your answers out loud. And do at least 1 mock Viva with your supervisor because they can hopefully coach you, tighten your explanations, and help you sharpen your defense. If you can't find someone who is willing to go over and over your questions again and again because once is not enough, then you could record yourself, either audio or video. And this tip actually came from one of my students because they found there's something about the camera or the microphone that raises the pressure slightly, just enough to simulate that Viva environment. It helps you refine, clarify, structure, pace, and be succinct and avoid that rambling. So yes, it's cringy to hear your own voice or watch a video, but better to do the hard training before the Viva than to get into the Viva and realise you're not ready. Plus, mock Vivas build that muscle memory you'll rely on during the real thing. But let me say this again, this is not about memorising answers, but about making sure that you have your key points in your head ready to speak out loud. So if you follow these preparation steps, succinct answers, systematic summarisation, and genuine spoken practice through mock Vivas, you will be in a much better place to handle your Viva. If you want to know about further predictable Viva questions to help you prepare, then please check out my next video and I hope to see you there. Thanks for watching and good luck for your Viva.